Hey, you guys, welcome again to another video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. And let's go ahead and get started on what we're going to talk about. So, anyway, in this particular video right here, we're going to take a closer look at this whole concept of Zionism. Many times in this day and age right now, we've been hearing a whole lot about Zionism, Zionist, Semite, anti-Semite, and all of that. Now, we're not going to get into all of that, and we're not going to really get into the weeds of all of that either. But what we are going to do is kind of scratch the surface of specifically Zionism. Did you know Zionism isn't necessarily a Jewish only concept? It's not. It traces back many, many centuries before Jews really grasped hold of it and it became something that's been associated with them. But Zionism goes back much, much further than that. The foundation of Zionism is really based on this idea that that there is a holy land and that Jerusalem is that holy land, and that there's a specific group of people that holy land has been assigned to. That's the basics of it. But Zion, the word Zion and all of that, even the word Jerusalem, there are the origins of those words. We've done breakdowns on those words and where they actually came from, looking at the actual history. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people will be really surprised at the origins of these concepts, Zionism being one of them. And so anyway, so we're going to just simply scratch the surface just a tiny, tiny bit. We're not going to get too deep into it. But if, again, I have to probably start doing this on a regular basis at the beginning of all of our videos. We take our time here when we're looking at historical things because we are in pursuit of the truth. So if you're a person that has a short attention span and you prefer more of a TikTok thing where someone is going to tell you in under a minute what to believe and what to think and how to think, then this is not the video for you. I do promise you I will stick to the point. We'll stay on the point, and we'll also provide references for you to look these things up on your own time. But what I'm not going to promise and what I'm not going to do is to cheat you on your road to really getting into the bottom line truths of these very important topics by just cutting things very short and all of that stuff. I'm not doing that. My goal is to get you to start thinking and for you to start digging on your own, and not so much me being the one that's just telling you all of this stuff, because you can look these things up on your own, and we're just one of many outposts out here, if you will, that are pushing this information out. And a lot of times at great risk, because, if you say too much, this platform, they don't like you going too deep. So we have to kind of play by their rules a little bit. But what we have done, though, for those that follow us, we've created our own separate platform, from YouTube. Oh, yeah. YouTube isn't the only place where you can catch our stuff. We have spent a great deal of time and a great deal of resource in creating our own platform. And the name of that platform is called mybantube.com, and that's mybantube.com. And what you'll find on that platform is a ton of information ranging on all types of topics, from medical to social to historical to spiritual, coming from multiple sources, and so because when you're trying to dig and try to get the truth of things, you want to make sure you're getting it from multiple sources. And you can do that here on YouTube to a measure. But again, they have certain people and certain belief systems that they're trying to protect. So there's certain things that get squelched. Well, we don't do that on our platform. Of course, we're not going to tolerate, things like, pornography and all that other foolishness. We don't tolerate that either. But we want to make sure that you are getting full access to the truth so that you can do your own investigation. And so big shout out to our dear sister, Avery Black. She, every time I turn around, she is uploading more and more stuff on there. every day. And so big shout out to her. She's uploading everything from documentaries to studies to movies to news item. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So she's been doing that every day. So a big shout out to you, sis, and really appreciate what you're doing over there. But I'm gonna take you to my tiny section on that site, mybondtube.com. And where you'll find a ton of videos. I mean, these aren't the only videos here on YouTube that we have. We have a ton of videos that we've done and we've posted exclusively on this platform here on mybondtube.com, because I know if we try to post them here, YouTube would immediately take them down. And so here it gives us the flexibility to show you excerpts of different things. And, even those things, including music or whatever, we can include that as well. And we ain't got to worry about, we're going to give us a copyright and all that. So we ain't got to worry about any of that. But everything, we can play everything there for you so you can look at it on your own. Well, anyway, as it pertains to this video that you're watching right now, we have a a huge library of videos and documentaries or whatever coming from these people themselves. This isn't third party stuff. This isn't me kind of just making things up and speculating or anything like that. No, we go right to the people themselves and let them tell their own story. I mean, isn't that the right thing to do? Yeah, of course. Let them tell it. And so that's what we do. We let them tell it. And we listen in, and then that's it. And we talk about it. We commentate on it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so we let them do it. But what's interesting is that I guess sometimes they may say too much. Maybe that's what it is, because it's very interesting that these videos, it seem like they don't really like them on this plantation. They're like, wait a minute, that's too much now. You can't say all of that now. It's like, well, let them talk. Let them talk. Let them share what they're trying to say. What's the problem here? So we are able to find those videos and we put them on this platform here, and got a ton of them here. And so the one I'm showing you, I'm like on page 9 of my video collection here, but you can just do a search for the word camps, C-A-M-P or C-A-M-P-S. I would suggest C-A-M-P and not the S, because that will capture all the ones that have the title camp in it. Do a search for that on here on mybondtube.com, and you will find quite a few videos where these are the people themselves that are describing in, great detail. Down to like spreadsheet detail on exactly what was going on in these camps. And they're just telling it, and they're telling it. It ain't me. They're telling it in great detail. And so these are things I assure you that a lot of this you're not going to find in your books. You're not going to find mainstream media talking about it, but you will find them, in fact, talking about it themselves in great detail. And fortunately, we have this information, and you're able to watch it and listen to it on your own. And so anyway, there's one video in particular that I want you to definitely check out when you get the chance. It's by this individual here. I'm gonna make the video probably bigger here. That's not him on the thumbnail there, but but I'm avoiding not saying his name because I don't know if it sends some flag to the YouTube AI or whatever. But it's right there on your screen right here. Is this video right here? This is a Jewish. At that time, he was a young man who actually went to Auschwitz himself. The same camp that you'll find Elon Musk. He had to go to the bow and then his bended knee and just say how he's just so, I'm sorry for offending y'all and all of that. And I'm just, hey, listen, I'm going to do better in combating against anti-Semitism and all this other stuff, So, when Elon Musk, you knew it was a matter of time. That's why I never believed this whole shtick about him coming out and, hey, listen, there's freedom for all. I'm not beholden to anybody. I'm just going to do whatever. And they're like, yeah, well, we got some pictures, okay, of you back whenever. We got some records, or, most of these investments in your companies come from us. So just like that, you can be gone. Because I'm telling you right now, you can act like you so distance all you want, but at the end of the day, All they got to do is snap their fingers, and next thing you know, you bowing the knee. No different than Nick Cannon, no different than all these other people that had to do that. So anyway, so staying in the spirit, if you will, of learning more about their history, that's what we're doing on this broadcast. So anyway, so take a look at that, especially that video that I just showed to you, because the tour that this Jewish man gave is a lot different than the tour that I can assure you that Elon Musk was given. It's the same place, no Photoshop, no editing, nothing. And he's asking all the hard questions. And it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing video, but I would encourage you to take a look at that when you get a chance. Okay. All right. So anyway, so I covered that. Let's see. I also, if you saw recently on our community page, I posted this picture here, and isn't this quite amazing? This is quite amazing. This is a hotel, yes, very real hotel in Jerusalem. I believe the picture was taken back like in the 1930s or so. Downtown Jerusalem, hotel with Nazi flags in Jerusalem. Did you ever think you would see something like this? I've never seen this picture before. Now, I am aware of the relationship between the Nazis and the Jews. There was a relationship that a lot of people aren't too aware of, because the movies and the documentaries and the miniseries and all the other stuff that we've seen, it's the portrayal between these two groups is one is basically the junkyard dog, pit bull, and the others are like the innocent, I'm running for my life. But that's not the whole story. It ain't the whole story. It really isn't. And so this picture here actually gives us just a sneak peek on another part of the story that it's not being told. And so in this broadcast or in this video that you're watching right now, we're going to learn a little bit about this and things that were connected to this. This ain't just some kind of one-off here. This is real. This picture is very real. If you look at it, you see the British flag and the Nazi flag and all that. So it's not Photoshop. It's not, doctored in any way or whatever. It's a very real picture. Okay. So we're going to kind of get into this right now. Okay. And give you, like I said, again, we're not going to get into too deep into the history, but we're going to give you just enough here for that. Hopefully you will take the initiative to dig on your own, so that you can kind of explore more of this and and be shocked and amazed. Okay. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take you to this it's a channel here on YouTube. He's an anthropologist. His name is Robert Sefer. I hope I'm saying his name right. And he does very, very good work. Very good work. He has a book called 1666. And that's a year, and it's a very significant year as it pertains to the whole concept, our modern concept of Messiah. Okay. Now, I cannot go in that. I cannot address that right now in this video because that will be too long. But this whole concept of Messiah and where it actually comes from, our modern concept of it, it actually started somewhere around 1666, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that another time. And again, the key words are modern concept. I'm not saying period, the modern concept of it. And it's a very, I should say a dark one. I'll just say that. But he talks about that in his book. I don't have it, but I do plan on getting it. And he has a ton of other videos out as well that are very informative. So I would very much encourage you to check him out, check out his work and all that. And it seems like he's definitely knows what he's talking about. Okay, I'll just put it that way. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to play excerpts of a video that he just uploaded recently. It's called The Hidden History of Zionism. And I would encourage you, video itself is about 47 minutes long. I would encourage you to watch the entire video. Make the time to watch it if you can. And because he really goes back into the full history, if you will, of Zionism and where it actually comes from. Zionism goes back. It's an ancient concept. It goes back to, I don't know the excerpts I'm going to play are going to touch on it, but it goes all the way back as far as Zoroastrianism. And so you're talking Mesopotamia, you're going way back, ancient civilization stuff. And but again, he talks a little bit about how it changed, the concept of it changed over the years and all that stuff. Very fascinating stuff. And it also ties into this whole concept of the rapture and then judgment, judgment that's going to come and, you know, wipe out all the bad people and leave the good people and all that. That ties all the way back thousands and thousands of years, way before the Bible. And he talks about that, not so much in this video, but in other videos he's done. He talks about that. So okay, you think you know, but you really don't. You know what I'm saying? And we're all learning as we're pursuing this, as we're pursuing truth, because that's what we want, you know, at the end of the day. But anyway, well, let's get to the video. I'm going to play 2 clips of this video. And then there's, you know, unfortunately, there's probably going to be some ads that pops up. So I'll try to skip through those as quickly as I can. So this first clip, it's coming, for the most part, it's coming straight from them. They're saying it out of their own mouths. I want you to pay very close attention to what these people are publicly admitting and ask yourself, gee, I wonder why mainstream media has never replayed these videos or never informed us of any of this stuff. Or why is it that schools haven't really told us any of this stuff? It's really interesting stuff. So anyway, so I was able to cue the video right at like mid-sentence of a point he was making, but he's going to finish reading this quote that's going to be on the screen, and then he's going to get to the clip I want to show you, okay? So let's go ahead and pull this up here, and let's go ahead and jump right into it, okay? All right, let's go.
Year-old historical and cultural past for its never-ending, glorious future. Of course, the Third Reich did not last for 1,000 years, but only 12 years. That said, the first settlements in Palestine in the early 1800s were not set up by Jews. The German Templars were part of the Christian Zionism movement, whereby the European powers sought to establish their presence in the Holy Land after 1840. These adherents of the German Lutheran Church established settlements in Jerusalem, Haifa, Galilee, and what is now Tel Aviv, serving as a model for the Jewish pioneers who came much later, after the German Templars already established colonies, roads, infrastructure, and agriculture in the Holy Land. In the 1930s, many of the Templars in Palestine, named after the Temple of Solomon, joined the Nazi Party, and despite modern propaganda, their influence was acknowledged at the time, as was Hitler's role in working with Jewish Zionists to populate what became modern Israel. Quote, Jews from Germany have reinforced the economic growth they found in progress. Some of the earlier arrivals brought considerable means. Their investments have given a powerful impetus to the industries of the new Palestine. Boys and girls of urban families prepared themselves for the land, joining or founding colonies. Hitler made Haifa, runs a Jewish proverb. German Jews are helping to develop there a great industrial center for the Near East.
Hitler didn't want to exterminate the Jews at the time. He wanted to expel the Jews.
Listen.
Nothing exists showing that Hitler ordered the extermination. There's no Hitler letter, which is a smoking gun. Enttreffung, the complete removal or the deliberate removal of the Jews.
Live on Channel 5, this is the 10 o'clock news with Deborah Norville.
Coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine.
Deborah, with the rise of Adolf Hitler to power in the spring of 1933, the Jews of the world were faced with a dilemma. They could raise a cry of protest, a cry few would heed, or they could make a deal with Hitler, a deal that would bring a step closer their dream of an independent Jewish state.
American Jews marched calling for the boycott of all German exports. Jews throughout Europe echoed that call. So did Jews everywhere. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the transfer agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
German Jewish settlement of Palestine was, for a time, official Nazi policy. These photos of Jewish life in Palestine, along with a lengthy text, appeared in 1934 in the Berlin paper Der Angriff. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David.
While the German National Socialist government had a working relationship with a sect of Zionist Jews, they were simultaneously hostile to a primarily secular Jewish movement, which has some post-World War II historians confused, especially those that perceived the Jewish people as a homogeneous, politically monolithic demographic, which they are not. In a 1920 article written by Prime Minister Winston.
Okay, and I'm going to stop there. And did you hear that? You had Netanyahu, and then you had the other guy, this Simone Wiesenthal, whatever it is, organization, and both of them saying the true intentions of Hitler. And that was, he wasn't trying to, his goal, and it was saying initially at least, he wasn't trying to wipe them out. But like I said, again, watch those documentaries that I've uploaded on there, because the people who were in those areas, in those spaces, they're telling you firsthand information on what was really going on. I'm just going to leave it at that. It ain't just talking about one of them. One can't talking about most of them. Anyway, there's more I could just say plainly, but I'm just hoping that some of y'all ain't too slow to catch on to what I'm saying. But like I said, I'm saying enough for you to go watch those documentaries, that stuff that I put up there. Some of them aren't really that long at all. They're very short, to the point. They're like slide presentations. And there's slide presentations that are extremely detailed, where they're not only just showing you pictures, but they're also going down to spreadsheets and all that stuff, and comparing numbers and looking at different historical accounts from different people who were there and all of that stuff. It's very clear. And a lot of that stuff I could not get here on this platform. I had to tap my other sources to get that stuff. So again, mybondtube.com, hey, listen, we, really appreciate those who contribute to keep that going. If you want that kind of information, along with a ton of other information that we post on there, please, we need your help. Go to the About page on my BondTube and give what you can. We really appreciate that. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is skip over here, because he's reading with Winston Churchill, this long thing he said. I was going to play it, but there's certain things he was saying on there. I don't know what the YouTube AI gods will be happy with that, but it's all historical, but it's playing too close to the chest. Okay. So let me get to, again, we're going to go right to them and let them say it for themselves. So here's the other one. Now, when I click on it, it may bring up an ad, so I'll try to get through it. Okay.
Why did Hitler really hate the Jews? What did he want from them? How did they bother him? But it's all written here in Mein Kampf. This book was published only recently. It just got approved to be translated to Hebrew. It was forbidden all these years. But there is an earlier translation. It was made by Yad Vashem. They were allowed to. Hitler claims in his book that the Jews are communists. They made the Russian Revolution. They killed their 30 million Russians, all the intelligent ones, in a cruel and horrific way. And that's their plan for the entire world. The next country in line is Germany. They founded the German Communist and Socialist parties, and it's true. If we don't defeat them now, they will eliminate us, and they will slaughter another 20 million, all the intelligent people. And that's how they want, from country to country. So eventually, the only intelligent ones remaining would be the Jews. And he repeats it many times. Make no mistake. And he is right. The Russian Revolution was made by the Jews. The Russian army was built by Trotsky, who was an incredible genius and anti-Semite like no other. He created the Jewish division of the Communist Party, which members inform on their father, mother, brother, and son. Whoever owns a siddur, or even a Hebrew learning book. I'm not even talking about Teflin or Mikvah. He destroyed everything, also by the Jews, but for sure by the Russians. In the first picture of the Russian government, out of 13 members, 6 were Jews. Who founded the KGB? Jews. So everything is clearly written. He didn't hate the Jews because they had pios. He didn't hate them for observing mitzvot. Because they are communists. And he writes it clearly. The Jews destroyed religion and faith. They spread in Germany the heresy in God because they don't believe in him. He writes this right here. Now you understand why they don't teach it in schools? Because who writes the curriculum? Those same leftists. They destroyed all the values, poisoned literature and theater. Who did it? Torah-observant Jews poisoned the German theater? Out of 9 large German newspapers, 7 were owned by Jews. So do you understand why it's forbidden here to teach about him? And what he says?
Now, if YouTube has a problem with this video, then they better have a problem with Mr. Robert Safara's Bible too, his video as well, because I'm playing it straight from his channel, and I'm encouraging people to go there, to watch the entire video so you can watch it for yourself. Isn't this something? This is straight from them. I ain't saying that. He's telling you. Well, let's continue. So in those clips, the first clip that I showed you, there was some reference to some articles here, and let's see which one I want to share with y'all first. I'll just start with the shortest one. I can get access to the full version of it, but I just didn't feel like going through all of it. But anyway, did you know this? This is in Haaretz newspaper. Okay, this is Israel's, one of their main newspapers. Historian, Nazi army included 150,000 of Jewish descent. Did you know that? As many as 150,000 men of Jewish descent served in the German military under Adolf Hitler, some with the Nazi leaders' explicit consent. A U.S. historian who has interviewed hundreds of former soldiers said on Tuesday. Brian Mark Rigg, history professor at the American Military University in Virginia, told Reuters that the issue of soldiers of partial Jewish descent was long a somewhat taboo subject overlooked by most academics as blah, blah, blah. And it cuts off. And they say, if you want to read the rest of it, you're going to have to sign up or pay for it or whatever. And you can. It's a pretty easy process to do. Like I said, again, I just didn't feel like doing it. So that's one article, okay, that he highlighted in his 47 long minute video. Let's see. I'll get to that one in a minute here. There was another one here, and then I'll jump back to that one. Is it this one? I'll just go through them. I'm not going to read, all of them, in detail, but I'll just go through it. Zionist militias sought to enlist Nazi aid in Palestine. Did you know that? They said recently declassified documents from Israeli state archives revealed how the Lehi, one of the many Zionist militias operating in Palestine prior to the formation of Israel, attempted to enlist the aid of Nazi Germany against the British mandate. Haaretz reported last week. 81 years later, it is still hard to understand why Jews in the land of Israel could have believed in enlisting Nazi Germany in the struggle to liberate the homeland from British control. I'm just reading. I'm just going right to their sources, and I'm just reading. All right. Here's another one here. The Templars. Now, this is tied to that hotel. The hotel was just one manifestation of a much deeper relationship that these Templars had with Israel. Okay, so, but I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll just read part of it. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'll just start here. It says the Germans were no longer welcome in what had been a first part of the Ottoman Empire. The British Mandate Palestine would soon become Israel. On 3 September 1939, we were listening to BBC and my father said war has been declared. And the next minute there was a knock on the door and a policeman came and took my father and all the men in the colony away. Age 14 at the time, Kurt was part of a Christian group called the Templars. He lived in a settlement in Jerusalem, the district still known as the German colony today. By the late 1940s, though, the entire Templar community of 7 settlements across Palestine had been deported, never to return. They had landed 2 generations earlier, led by Christoph Hoffmann, a Protestant theologian from Ludwigsburg in Württemberg, who believed in the second coming of Christ could be hastened by building a spiritual kingdom of God in the Holy Land. So this ties into Zionism, and that it goes back much further than what you think it does. Okay. They had landed 2 generations earlier. Okay, I read that. Kurt's grandfather, a Christian, was among several dozen people who joined Hoffman in relocating from Germany to Haifa in Palestine in 1869. Let's see. I'm just skipping through here. The Templars saw Zion, biblical cinnamon. Always have problems pronouncing that word, for Jerusalem and the Holy Land as their second homeland, says David Kroy-Yanker, author of The German Colony in Emmerich Raphaim Street. But it was like being on the moon. They came from a very developed country to nowhere. In fact, the Templars arrived in Palestine more than a decade before the first large-scale immigration of Jewish Zionists who fled there to escape the destitution and pogroms in Russia. In many ways, they served as a model for the Jewish pioneers. So it goes on explaining how these Christians were actually the ones that came here and laid the groundwork for this whole Zionist idea. But where did these Christians get it from? It goes back much further. It goes back to Arianism. It goes back just tied to things that are a lot deeper than that. And it also talks about how you had Nazis that were tied into this as well. All right. So they laid the foundation, the groundwork for this whole idea. Let's see here. And here's another article here. I'm just going through some of the articles that he highlighted in his presentation. Templars, Germans, and Nazis. This is in the Jerusalem Post, I believe. Yes, it is. The German Templars were part of the Christian Zionism movement, whereby the European powers sought to establish the presence in the Holy Land after 1840. Following their charismatic leader, Christian Hoffman, these adherents to the German Lutheran Church, primarily in Württemberg, established settlements in Jerusalem, Haifa, Galilee, and what's what is now Tel Aviv in an attempt to bring salvation to the Jews and Muslim denizens of the region. They combined their calling as emissaries to the true faith with the practical need to support themselves in their new home. As they have been farmers in their country of origin, they engaged in primary agriculture, building houses, and according to German rural pattern, cultivating the land and creating a pleasant and aesthetic environment. They served as a model for the Jewish pioneers who came to the country and in many cases provided instruction and guidance for the newcomers. I'll just read a little bit further here. The first group of 72 people settled in Haifa at the foot of Mount Carmel in 1868, preceding the first wave of modern Jewish immigration by 14 years. But that influx, largely sponsored and funded by Lord Rothschild, consisted of thousands of people and soon became the predominant element in the population. The Templars built 7 small settlements in various parts of the country, and one of them, just outside the walls of Jerusalem, is known to this day as a German colony. As well as engaging in agriculture activity, the Templars also participated in the modernization of Palestine, introducing mechanized farming, machinery, paved roads, and the use of electricity in their homes. Let's see. I'll just skip down here. In 1930s, a number of Templars in Palestine joined the Nazi Party, and one of them, a certain Cornelius Schwartz, was appointed to the head of the Templar community. They made no secret of their allegiance and even ventured to march. Listen to this part here. They made no secret of their allegiance and even, what happened? And even ventured to march through the streets of Jerusalem, occasionally in Nazi uniform, bearing aloft the flag of the Third Reich. Now, can you imagine seeing that? This is downtown Jerusalem. They're in Nazi uniforms and marching in downtown Jerusalem. I mean, I just showed you the hotel. They got Nazi flags all over the place. Isn't it interesting? That's not in many of our history books, but it's right here in the Jerusalem Post. I'm just reading it. And then it goes on and talks more of the history, like I said, which I would strongly encourage you to look into that on your own. Okay. Let's see. Did I have anything else on this? No, not at all. No. No, that's it. So, yeah. So isn't this quite fascinating? This is quite fascinating here, that here you have a big chunk of history that has been intentionally left out, that what we're seeing today when it's come to this whole clash of Zionism versus the people who are anti-Zionist, what you're seeing is it's actually like when you look at the Jews, let's say of in New York, for example, right? A lot of the Jews, the Orthodox Jewish community in like Brooklyn, many of them are anti-Zionist, believe it or not. They're not really for gathering everybody and telling them to go back to the Holy Land to defend it. Not really. A lot of them are anti. And I'm sure many of you have seen even footage of Orthodox Jews in Jerusalem getting beat up by Jerusalem cops because they're anti-inscription of people having to fight for Jerusalem. They don't necessarily believe that. But the history behind that, it goes a little bit deeper because you got some people who just within that group that are pro, liberal, socialism, that kind of thing. And then you got another side of them that aren't for that. But this overarching, you have this issue of Zionism that's actually a belief system that it stems back much, much further. And you'll find that these Jewish people actually kind of adopted it and and made it their own. And this is what we're seeing today. But it also involves Nazis and all that stuff. And so this whole dialect thing that they developed, in the West, when it comes to our media, when it comes to our school books and all of that stuff, when it comes to this issue, it's like the Nazis are bad, 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 bad. And the Jews, on the other hand, they're the victim, 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 victim. And that's what they try to put in our minds. But you're not getting the whole story, because as I'm just showed you here, even in downtown Jerusalem, they were fully embracing these Nazis. Isn't this something? So again, like I told you, we're just simply scratching the surface on this very interesting but complex topic. And but I would encourage you again to go check out this video in its entirety on its own. And even the video itself is only a launching pad to even more research that you can do on your own on this very interesting topic. And we'll touch on it again from time to time. But maybe now on this platform, we'll probably go on mybondtube.com where we can get into it much deeper. But I would encourage you to investigate it on your own. So that's it, family. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.